Did you know there was a cafe that could transport you back into the past? And if you could go back, who do you want to meet? And where are my manners? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nur Izzah Zahraa Binti Mohd Fazli is the name, and if you couldn't guess, I am 16 and from the lovely school SMK MEGAH. I have read hundreds and hundreds of books, and some of them being The Picture of Dorian Gray, Perawan, Mythos, and Glad. Today I can tell you about the simple yet intriguing book called Kohiga Sebenai Wicini, or Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This book has not only answered my question, but also gives us different perspective, since there are different types of people in the stories who uses the same type of opportunity, which is traveling back into the past. This book is actually one of Japan's best-selling book in the year 2019, and also a USA Today bestseller and a Times of London's bestseller for nearly 23 continuous months. This book is mostly in the literature and fiction genre, but has a sense of reality and really can be relatable to the variety in the audience, with only 213 pages, which is to be considered quite short. This book, as you can see from the design, it is quite minimalistic, with a simple wallpaper, two chairs, and one table. The tables and chairs really gives us an idea of where the story takes place, which is in a classical cafe, more specifically the Funiculi Cafe. Of course, we cannot discuss about the book without mentioning the amazing author who wrote it, Toshikatsu Kawaguchi. He has not only written this singular book, but has also written a sequel for it, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe, which I know, quite confusing naming your second book the same as your first one, but its own styles. Also, more information about the author is that he was born in Osaka, Japan in 1971. Other than that, he also formally directed, produced, and wrote a theatrical play for Sonic Snails. This book has won many awards, being that hundreds and thousands mayhaps have already bought it and recommended to everyone else. With that being said, what is so interesting about this story? Well, let me tell you this. This novel has multiple stories, more specifically 4 distinct stories. And I shall start you with the first one, which we will have Fumiko, a woman in her early 20s with her boyfriend Goro, who one day decides to go to the cafe. Goro decides to break it off right there and there, since he has a new job in the United States. Fumiko, not really understanding why he left there and wanted to resolve this somewhat misunderstanding, decides to use the cafe's ability to travel back into time and to talk to Goro. Obviously, she settles the misunderstanding, and instead of breaking off, she and Goro will have a lovely reunion after 3 years' time. This shows to Fumiko that she may have cannot alter the past or the present, but yet she can alter the future. This is also sent to us in real life, where something that we did in the past may have be a cause for us forever, but that does not mean it might affect the future, since the future is our choice. And the second story is about Kotage and her husband Fusagi. Fusagi was unfortunately diagnosed with the Alzheimer's disease, and after one day finally forgetting all about his wife, Kotage decides to go back to 3 years in the past to talk to a Fusagi before he had the Alzheimer's disease. Fusagi, who knows about the cafe, finds Kotage and they share a heartfelt conversation, in which ending with Fusagi giving Kotage a letter. and the letter broke me because it was just so heart-touching for how the husband really cared about his wife. And that story shows of how much we should cherish our loved ones, because one day our loved ones may leave this earth and we can never know when. That moral has also been shown in the third story, with which we follow Hirai. Hirai actually has some family issues with her parents, which stems from her parents wanting her to take over an inn that they own, but she wants to work much more independently. So therefore, she moved out at the age of 18. Hirai's little sister, unfortunately, Kumi, visits and tries to persuade her to talk to her parents again and to come back to the inn. But Hirai usually avoids her since she doesn't want to deal with that, understandably. But one day, Kumi was in a fatal car accident that cost her life. Hirai, with so much guilt, wanted to apologize to Kumi for not being there, and as well as to meet her sister once again. By using the cafe's ability, she was given that chance, and after feeling somewhat satisfied with talking to her sister, Hirai returned with a new face and a new attitude, and decides to go back to her parents to continue working in the inn with them. This gives me an insight to appreciate my parents and family members a lot more, and to work much more harder, since my success will show my appreciation towards them. And finally, we can go to the last and final story, which follows the cafe's owners, Kei and Nagare, a married couple who is expecting a new child. Kei unfortunately has some medical issues, therefore if she went to the childbirth, she may not survive it. But Kei still wants to have the baby, and finally decides to use the cafe's ability to travel into the future and see her brand new child. Which soon we learn that things did not went as planned, and she traveled into a bit of hell of the time. And after traveling to the future, she felt satisfied knowing that her baby is safe and healthy and living a good life, despite knowing that she have passed in the childbirth. Obviously, this book, as you can tell by the fourth story I told you, is that the main factor it is of being love, and having that love for another person, and also and having that love for another person, such as romantically between partners, a love of a sister, and a love of a mother. Not only that, this book also told me to speak my mind whenever given necessary. Like for example, in chapter 1, story 1. To speak our mind is actually to not regret anything, and to do something quite not hesitantly actually, but to do something in that moment so we cannot feel regret, because losing is much more better than regretting. I must say, I would recommend this book to everyone and anyone I meet, because how simple the writing is, but yet how intriguing, and how it really captivates you into the story, and as well as I really, really enjoy it. It's a quite short story since it has only 213 pages, which is a great start for non-readers, but also has characters that are easier to relate since they are much more realistic and really plays on different types. What I meant by that is that there are different types of characters in every story, obviously. This is a very bittersweet story that has made me cry multiple times during reading it, but it was such a good roller coaster of emotion that by the end of the story, you felt quite satisfied with the ending, and as well as how every single character finally have their happily ever after, despite not really seeing as such. Therefore, you should really buy this book at any store that you can find, perhaps even popular and online shop, for only I guess about 45 ringgit, which is unfortunately quite expensive to the general norm. But other than that, I have a lot more to say about this book, but since my time is running out, that is all I can say for today. So, I must bid you farewell and hope all of you are doing the best you can. Goodbye.